As of right now, we're going to be going through the Grantee training manual for the Tennessee Department of Transportation e-grant system. So right now I'm just going to talk about the operating system, the web browsers and Adobe Acrobat, some things that you might need for your system when you first get on to the site. So for operating systems, we use Windows and Macintosh. We're compatible with both. We are a Windows company, so we work better with Microsoft. If you're going to use a Mac system, it's going to have to be an operating system of 7.5 or higher. Obviously, the higher the current version is obviously the best to use. As far as Windows, they suggest an XP, Windows XP or higher. I suggest 7, at least 7 or higher. You might experience some sort of, I would say you wouldn't see the views necessarily the best in some of these other versions. I'm not going to go into your internet connection. It's pretty much if you can connect to the internet, you shouldn't have a problem with using our system at all, just as long as your operating system is up to date. Web browsers that you may use, I and most of the office here uses Internet Explorer. I use Internet Explorer 11 right now. I do believe that's the most current version. I would say 10 or higher would be your best bet. And the same thing, you can use Firefox, Chrome, and Safari as well. I suggest in that order, Firefox and Chrome. I don't have any personal experience with Safari using on this. And having Adobe Acrobat Reader also to help you read PDFs within the system. All right, now we can jump into the particular users or grantee users that Tennessee will have in their system. So right now we have 3 users types for the grantees to use. They are agency official, agency administrator, and agency staff. There are 3 different roles for a couple of different reasons. A lot of times different organizations like to have a review process. So the agency administrator might start the letter of intent or application project, whatever it may be, but then they'll have the agency official or agency staff go in and actually complete that stuff. Once the agency official and staff complete the application or the forms or whatever they may be working on, the agency administrator can then take a look, sign off on everything pretty much, and then go ahead and submit that to Tennessee for further review. That would be the best case scenario. It's also done for obviously security purposes as well. We don't want to have anybody lower in your organization submitting stuff that maybe the agency administrator hasn't seen yet. So that kind of thing. So when we're setting up our agencies, our new agencies here, you'll start off with an agency administrator, and then the agency administrator can add necessary roles as needed. Now, your organization might not need to have all these roles. Your organization might be a smaller organization, so it's totally fine having an agency administrator do everything if you guys feel comfortable that way. I just advise against it a little bit, just so the simple fact that when you do submit something, it's submitted to Tennessee. If you needed to have something done as far as an edit or something like that, Tennessee would actually have to send that back to you. So just be certain on submissions that you look through the information and you're certain that you're ready to submit. Okay, but as far as your administrators go, your agency administrator will be your top role. So when we first log into the system, it's going to look similar to my screen as of right now. You'll have a system login. It'll just take you back to this page in particular. So, and also don't just cruise past this welcome to Tennessee Department of Transportation eGrants homepage. It does have a lot of useful information as far as the congestion of mitigation for air quality, user manual. It also has different email addresses and places that you can go for informational. If you're having trouble, you can always call Agate for technical help and Tennessee for help with as far as how to answer some of the questions in the system. Now, as far as that's concerned, we can go ahead and access the system and start with a new user. So when you first come onto the site, you'll go to the new user link that's located within the login screen here, or you can also click this link here. It'll take you to the exact same spot. So I click new user, and this will take me to the registration page. Once you register, it'll then be sent over to Tennessee, and you'll either be approved or denied. I can't see a reason for being denied, but that'd be on Tennessee's preference. So pretty much I would fill out my first name, last name. Pretty much anything with a red asterisk is going to be required throughout the system. So no matter what page you're going to be on, if you see a red asterisk, make sure you fill out that field. If you hit save without filling it out, you'll get a lot of red like this. It's just going to require you to fill that information out. Once you do so, you will see a successful sign. As far as the information that I'll be entering today, it's not going to be current with what Tennessee is actually looking for. I'm just going to be filling out data to make sure I fill in the requirements and satisfy the system needs. So as far as last names and first names and organizations, I'm just going to be entering numbers and cities and just kind of picking random information so I can satisfy the system and we can get through the process a little bit. So I'll fill out my email address. You get to pick your own username and password. So when you first get in the system, I'll write this stuff down. You'll be able to use it later in the system. I can't tell you how long it'll take to be approved within the system. Again, this is a new system for all of us. So once you are sent to the system, I'm not sure how long it'll take for Tennessee to approve you. So we will enter some information and we will save this into the system. Oh, I didn't fill out my address. Okay. My information has been submitted. When I've been approved, I'll receive information via email. I can now go to other websites or anything along those lines. You can hit the system login, which, like I said, will take you to the system login page every time. So I've already got a login user who can pretty much do anything he wants. I've got an agency administrator all ready to go for my organization. So I will log in with them right now. Be aware that we do have a forgot username and or password here. You can use that link if needed. However, we do have a Agate help desk line as well. You can give us a call or shoot us an email. We'll be able to help you out if you forgot your username or password or anything along those lines. Okay, so username and password, go ahead and log into the system. And this will be your home page. As you can see here, it says Welcome Agency. That's just my first name that I actually put into my profile. And this will be your role right underneath the welcome and then your name. I am an agency administrator. You have the ability to change a picture, so you can show your picture here if you want. Do anything you want, you know, put a Predators logo in there. Wonderful. I had a great season. Let's see here. So I'm logged in as my agency administrator. Now this won't, you've already chosen your username and password for your agency administrator. Now when you go to add people within your organization, you might set that up for your people. Have your people, when they come in here, they'll have to change their password just for more security on their end. So I'm logged in, I'm in my agency's administrator. First thing I want to do is maybe add some people to my organization. Obviously, the agency administrator probably won't do everything themselves. So let's go to My Organizations tab. This will take you to your organization's information page. Once you get to this page, filling out this information would be a great idea. It gives Tennessee more to go by as far as what your organization needs might be, and you know, kind of give them more information about your organization pretty much. So you can go ahead and fill out all this information, whatever applies to your organization. Hit the save button at the top, and that'll save your information into the system. Now we want to add organization or add a member to our organization. So there's an organization members link right here. I click on that. This will take me to my organization's members page. You can see here I've already got members added to my organization and their roles. You can see here they have active dates, how many active documents they have associated with their role. Okay, so I want to add members. Right now, if you were a new member, you don't have anybody added to your organization. So you would click the add member link and now the new member button. This will take you to a screen where you can actually add a new member. I will go ahead and add a new one. Oh, looks like I got my capital locks on, but that's okay. And we'll put in an email address to satisfy the system and a username and a password as well. And select the current role that you want to have this new member to have: agency administrator, official, staff, whichever one need be. We'll give them an official role. And make sure that your organization information is current at the bottom as well. You might want to give this person a cell phone number, a fax. Your organization might have a website. You can fill that in. That'd be great. Save and add to organization. And here you can see that my Sean Huff user has been added. They were added on the 12th, and it has my agency administrator. That's actually my name rather than the actual role. They've been added to the system on the 12th, so that's, you know, kind of verification that they have been added. You can see here that they have no active documents yet. Obviously, they just got added to the system. If anybody started an application or anything along those lines before he was added, he would not be added to those automatically. He'd have to be added manually to that. So, okay, yes, this I've added. I can change any kind of information that I've to a person that I've already added to the system. Like I said, if they needed a new email address, I added it in wrong. You want to make sure that your email address that you put in there is correct. Throughout the system, they're going to be sending, the system's going to be sending you notifications as far as if you've been submitted your application. If Tennessee needs something for additional information, they'll send you stuff. You'll get an email about that when stuff actually hits your My Task box, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. So we've added a member to our organization. We've added our person to the system here. I guess now we can I can show you more about this home screen. So this is the home screen that you'll see when your agency administrator first logs into the system. I've already showed you my my organization's link. That'll take you, like I said, to your my organization's information page. You can add members. It's pretty much a link to whatever your organization information, users, one-stop shop for your organization. Now, as far as these tabs at the top, these are search tools. So if you have a My Letter of Intent in Progress, or an application, project, invoice, or even an amendment, whatever it may be, you can search or click on one of these tabs and search for that particular document. So if I have a letter of intent that's out there, or maybe I have 5 of them out there, I can find them all just by going to this simple search tool. Now, if I didn't want to, if I wanted to see all of the letters of intent that my organization has ever done, I can not enter any information into the screen, and I can just hit the search button, and it'll actually bring up every letter of intent that my organization's done, no matter of the status that it's in. So if you're having a hard time finding a particular document, you don't need to enter any criteria to find any document in particular. You can just hit the search button, and it'll bring up all the documents possible. With that said, obviously you can put in filters to minimize the search criteria that comes up. Say I only want to see the letters of intent that are approved. So I can hit the search button, and it'll filter everything, so only approved letters of intent come up for me to look at. And it's the same thing with applications, projects, invoices, and amendments. You can put in the application number, you can put in the project number, the fiscal year, the status of the application. All this stuff will come into effect, or once you hit the search tool, it'll bring up everything that's under that criteria. So back to my home. There are also a couple of tabs here at top. These are training materials. I don't think as of right now we have training material. Oh, we do. Okay, so your grantee training materials will always be right here for you to find. Nice and easy. You can always click on the My Training Materials, and you'll be able to see a training document and go through pretty much everything that I'm telling you about right now. If you're having troubles beyond that, like I said, we've got links and phone numbers on the login page that you can call for help. The My Profile tab. It's exactly what it means. It's your profile. It'll have your name, pretty much all your information, your title. If you needed to change your email address or your password. Like I said, once someone adds you into the system, it's always a good idea to come in here and change your password or change your username as well, just for an added thing of security, so that obviously it's unique to you and you alone. We don't need anybody coming in here and getting in and changing stuff that's not supposed to be doing that. So once you do that, if you can change any information you want, hit the save button, and it'll actually save that information to your system. And the log out is just that. It'll log you out of the system, and you'll have to log back in to actually gain access again. So let's go back to the home screen again. And we see we do have 3 different categories here on my home screen: view available opportunities, view my inbox, and view my tasks. Some of these are more important than others. So as you get more familiar with the system, we do have a feature which will allow you to change the view of, say, you think the inbox is most important, you want to see that on top. It'll just give you a chance pretty much customize your home page and see how you feel most comfortable, I guess. It comes pretty much standard as view available opportunities would be first, then my inbox, then my task. But the order doesn't mean anything. So view available opportunities. What's this? This is the opportunities that are available to your organization to apply for. Currently, right now, I do believe they're only letters of intent. After you fill out letters of intent, other parts of the process become available to you. So after you fill out your letter of intent and you are approved, then you'll be able to start on your application. Once your application gets so far into the process, it'll become a project. Once your project reaches a certain point, you'll be able to start invoices and amendments on that as well. So we'll go through that kind of process now and let you know and show you how everything works. So right now we're going to be applying for a CMAQ letter of intent for my organization for 2017. Now, there could be lots of opportunities for you to apply for within Tennessee. So they've got a simple search filter here for you to be able to choose your provider, your document instance, or even the dates that these letters of intent are due, just to help you get to your opportunity faster. Search through things that you don't need. If you find something that you're not interested in, you feel that your organization will never apply for, you can hit the not interested and it'll no longer come up for your organization. That can be, we can get it back though if you need to, so that's not a problem at all. So we'll go ahead and we're going to go to apply for this, the CMAQ letter of intent. And once we do so, it'll take us to that letter of intent main menu. And all the main menus will be pretty much the same as far as the letter of intent main menu, application main menu, project main menu, and so on and so forth. So once we make it to our letter of intent main menu, this is our new document information. So anytime we want to view or edit or go to this main menu for this letter of intent, you'll see this number and this tag pretty much. All you'll have to do is click on it. Anytime you click on this, it'll take you right to this letter of intent main menu page. The details is always good to know. Lets you know what type of document that you're in, letter of intent, your organization, your role. When you are creating roles in your organization, if you say you want to have a agency administrator role and an agency official role, that's totally fine. Just make sure you add yourself twice in the system rather than trying to change yourself on your My Organization screen. That's actually not the way it's actually done, and sometimes people get into trouble trying to do that. And I'll show you what I'm talking about real quick, and then we'll search for this letter of intent back. So we're going to go to the organization members. And this is the roles that I was talking about. So if you try to change your role here, it's not going to work too well. So if you're an agency administrator or you're an agency official and you want to be an agency administrator, have someone add you to your organization again, rather than trying to change your role here, because your role will not be changed if you just change the drop down. Just go ahead and add yourself a new role and you continue with there. So let's navigate back to the letter of intent that we just did. I can hit my letters of intent up here, take my status away so I can bring up all the ones that I did, and it is right here in process. I click on that, takes me right back to my letter of intent main menu, and I can continue with the process. Does anybody have any questions as far as what I've talked about thus far? I like it. Okay, let's see here. View, edit, and complete forms. Now this is the letter of intent form. Letter of intent is only going to have one form for you to actually fill out.
Hey, Lucas, can you stop there?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Can you start and stop and start again? Start your letter of intent, finish it, save it, and go back to it, the information that's still there. Does that make sense? Easy says yes.
I'm sorry, it's hard for me to understand the questions.
All right, so the question was, if you start a letter of intent and you save it and come back to it later, essentially. And that's one of the improvements going through this system, is you can start getting any documents as long as you save it, return to it.
Definitely. So when you start a letter of intent and it's in process, you can start it and you can stop it. As long as you're not submitting it to Tennessee, it'll sit in your My Task box until you want it, until you're ready to submit. And I'll go through this a little bit as I start this forms process and whatnot, and start showing you guys how to save and get further on in the process here. So yes, you can start a letter of intent and you can save the page and you can have people review it and you can have it stay in your task for as long as you need to. That's totally fine. As long as you don't submit to Tennessee, you'll still have it to be able to work on. Once it's submitted to Tennessee, you'll still be able to view it and everything along those lines. However, you'll be unable to edit. Since it to be in Tennessee's review, they don't want you to be able to edit it while they're reviewing it. So we've started a letter of intent. The view, edit, and complete forms menu, that is what we're going to fill out and complete. It'll have the forms for us to fill out, edit, and view. So we'll click the view forms button and it'll take us to our forms main menu. We hit the details and you can see still in letter of in process, still letter of intent. And I'll be reiterating some of this stuff quite a bit just to make sure that everyone knows kind of what we're looking at and everything, what the kind of process we're going through. So the letter of intent, you can see it right here. If you put your cursor over this, it should say blank form, because nobody has done anything with this form as of yet. I can click on my letter of intent to access the form. And you can see here the letter of intent. It'll always have instructions on all of the pages that you go to. It's always good to go through the instructions real quick, just to make sure there's nothing special as far as requirements for the page. Like I said, they'll always have a red asterisk for any kind of required field that you need to fill out. If it doesn't have a red asterisk, it's not required. You can skip it if you need to. So your letter of intent is going to have a couple of different questions for you to answer. It'll have some requested funds that you need to fill out, pretty much all the basic information for you to get the application to be able to start a project and then obviously go further on into the process. So we'll give it a project title, and the primary contact will be, I'll put my name and Title 1 and my street address. We'll say it's Main Street, because who doesn't have a Main Street? And since we're in Lansing, well, close to Lansing, I'll put that. Zip codes and phones, doesn't matter as of right now. You can see here we don't need a fax number, so I'm not going to enter that. Email address as of right now, doesn't have to be anything special. The type of organization that you have, and then we'll have brief descriptions on why you're doing the letter of intent, what it'll impact, that sort of thing. Like I said, Tennessee will know more about the information that you need to enter for this stuff. I'm just trying to enter information to satisfy the system itself. And you can see here, once I enter information, we have automatic calculations happening at the end. Now, this page could get kind of confusing, because once you get down to the end, it says click here to submit. All right, don't do that before you make sure you hit the save button first, because if you do it might not save your page, and then it'll give you error, and it'll actually erase all of your information. So make sure you save the page before you try to submit or move on with anything further in the process. Is there any questions? All right, excellent. So once you filled out your letter of intent, everything looks good to you, somebody's reviewed it or something along those lines, you can click here to submit your application. Once you do so, you can click the letter of intent submitted in review. Click that right underneath that label to do so, or you can cancel this. Sometimes people apply for these letters of intent by accident. Sometimes they'll hit it twice. Maybe someone in their organization's already applied for one, something along those lines. If it happens on accident and you have one in your task box that you want to get rid of, all you have to do is enter the change status menu, and it will change you can change your status to canceled, and it'll take it off your My Task list. And I'm going to go through that more here in just a second. But as of right now, I'm going to submit this, and this will go to Tennessee for review. They'll review it. Once they're done reviewing it, we will get a notification via email saying that it's been reviewed and it's been submitted, and they'll then update us on the status of that, whether it's been approved or denied, or they need modifications on that letter of intent. Either way, you're going to be notified via email. And I'm submitting this right now. Once I do submit it, it'll also give you email letting you know that you've submitted this. And it'll actually give you this in a couple different ways. So I've submitted my application. I can go back to my home, and we have a thing called My Inbox. View My Inbox. I can go ahead and open my inbox, and this is just a box of notifications that the system has sent you. It's pretty much the same thing as having an email sent to you, but it's in the system here. So say you have an email that's wrong in the system. If you go to log into your system, you might see that you have an extra email in your inbox. You can go ahead and click on the subject. It'll let you know that project 1 was approved by TDOT. You can archive these, you can print these, you can do a lot of different things with your inbox. Let's see, we can sort by priority, by sender, by the subject, by the date. It gives you a lot of different options as far as viewing your material. You can archive it. If you archived it, it's not a big deal to be able to view all system messages. This will give you the view of all system messages that you've had, whether you've read it or not read it. It doesn't matter. So System messages, I know a lot of people don't use my inbox very much because, like I said, it does send these things to your email, and a lot of people just use that, which is totally fine. Now, I've spoken about this a couple different times already. The My Task box, this is going to be an important part of your home page. So anything that you've started, anything that you need to work on is going to be in my View My Tasks. So you can hit the Open My Tasks button, and it'll actually show you every single document type that you have that's in your My Task box that'll actually need your attention. So let's see here. I've got letter and process here. I've got a letter of a process here. Or I'm sorry, I have invoice and process here. Right here, I have a letter of intent in process. So you can see here that it'll give you anything that's pretty much in process or the grantee needs to do. It's going to show up in the View My Tasks. Now, I can close this. You can see here that I have 9 tasks, and I have 4 that are critical. Critical tasks are due dates that are nearing or past, and you have to obviously get those in before those due dates pass, or you're no longer able to submit. You can see here that the 12/25 date for 2016 is my due date. Right now, that due date is not being enforced for these since this is just a test document. But if this was live, you'd be no longer be able to submit this application since it's past the due date. But this View My Task section will have your organization information. Like I said, if you hit the organization link, it takes you back to the organization information page. If you hit the name of the document, it takes you to that document main menu. And then everything else is just pretty much to let you know what status that document is in and the dates that are associated with that document. So we have submitted our document. We submitted that document, so we should be getting it back from excuse me, from Tennessee. So we can see that 6/12, the application in process, has been sent to us. So let's take a look at it. So this is a child document of our parent document. What does that mean? Our letter of intent is our parent document. Without that letter of intent, we would not be able to get to our application. So that means the letter of intent is the parent document, and the application and everything else would be a child document of that letter of intent. So when you see parent information, that's just the letter of intent that it was created from. So we now have started an application. We can go to View, Edit, and Complete Forms. Once we do so, we can see here that we have forms to fill out within the application process. Program staff, they say this has already been entered by the program staff. This is just meaning that some letter of intent information was brought over from the letter of intent to the project title. So we'll enter the project title form. It's got a couple of errors on the screen. That's not a problem. It just means that the page saved itself when we entered it. And you can see here that it entered a lot of our information for us, so we don't have to go ahead and re-enter that. All we'll have to do is enter our employer identification number and our organization's Edison ID. If you don't know what those are, or you need help with that, we do have links at the bottom for you to navigate to, and we also have a couple helplines for you to call to find that information out. So I'll enter some numbers to satisfy these fields. I'll go ahead and save the page. And you can see here the page was saved successfully. All the information's in there. And this one is good to go. You can see that it was last modified by me, and it'll also give you the time and date that it was modified. So if anyone comes in here and modifies one of your applications, letter of intent, whatever it may be, it'll always have that person's name, their date, and the time that they modified it. All right, now that that's done, we can always come down to the project type and go to the next form. There's a lot of different ways to do the same things within this system. So I can hit the forms menu, and then again, I can go to project type. I can go to project type from within the application itself. So like I said, there are a lot of different ways to do the same things within the system. So let's go to the project type and fill that out. And some of these forms are only going to have a couple questions on it. That's not a problem. The more questions on a form and the longer a form is, there's a better chance that people could mess things up or forget about something, that kind of thing. So I like to have smaller forms like this. It keeps people more involved and keeps people going. Let's see, enter some information. We'll save the page. And that form is good as well. So you can see the process is pretty easy as far as entering information. It's just making sure you have the right information is all. So enter some information. These are radio buttons, which will only let you select one at a time.
Lucas?
Yep.
I guess if we're at this point, I just want to make a comment that it's on that previous page he was on, where you're selecting project type, whatever you pick there does ultimately change the type of information that you put in. Sort of where we've done strategic initiatives in the past, forms of different information that we're asking for. So if you're submitting an ITS project, for instance, it's going to ask for different information than say a transit project or a park and ride or something like that. Just wanted to point that out because he may not go through all of those options, but there are different things you can ask for in different projects. All right, thanks.
Yeah, definitely not a problem. Some of these questions might pertain to other organizations and some not. Again, it's all on the organization's preference and what they need. Yep. Does anybody have any more questions as of right now? Okay. Filling out these forms, it's going to be kind of repetitive. You're going to have the same types of things to fill out: radio buttons, check boxes, and just paragraphs in general. You can see here, this will be the project partners, if applicable page. Pretty much, obviously, this is only if you have a partner in this scope of application and project. If you don't have to save this page if you don't want to. I like to save it just to know that I've been in there. It'll mark it for me, and I won't have to think about it again, pretty much. You can see here, it marked it down here, so it doesn't look like it's a page that has been blanked. All right, we'll go to contract information. And here we have a secondary contact person and an authorized representative. Secondary is not needed, but the contact person for the authorized rep is needed. So we'll satisfy the required fields. Don't need a fax number again. Right. It'll be the person that you want to get in contact with about any of this information, not necessarily the person that's filling out the application. And obviously a secondary person, just in case that person may be out of the office or not be able to contact them at all. So we'll save that contact information page. As you can see here, it's saved. We're still in the application and process with our agency administrator. And we've got one more form in this step to fill out. So after we fill this project location out, you'll put in the name, let's see, the county, The state, the zip. State will be filled in for you. It looks like it's hard-coded. Counties, fill out any information that's needed. Obviously, again, I reiterate that I'm not filling out this application accurately. You'll have to go through and really look at this information, read the questions to be able to figure out what you actually, or what they're actually wanting. So I'll go ahead and save the page. Now, once I save this last portion of the page, it's actually going to create another subsection in the application process for me to fill out. So I've saved this page, and you can see here at the bottom it has a click here link to return to the forms menu. You can click here to the forms menu, or you can click on your forms menu up here. Either way, it's going to take you to this spot here, and you can see once we filled out this project location, it gives us another set of forms to fill out. So once it gives you the new set of forms, then obviously we have to go through and fill out the new forms. Finish this application process and we'll submit it. And I've got a couple other things to talk about on the applications menu, or any menu. Any of the menus, like I said, they're pretty much the same thing. It's just another menu for another portion of it. So letter of intent is going to have a main menu. Your applications are going to have a main menu. Your projects will have a main menu. Invoices will have a main menu. And amendments will have a main menu. And they will all look like this. So we'll fill out the rest, and then I'll go into the change status, access management tools, and examine related items. So view, edit, and complete forms to get back to our forms menu. And we can fill out the transit service project, which seems pretty easy. Right now it's only got 2, but some of these buttons will have functionality to them, meaning if I select new service route, it'll bring up additional questions for that. If I select the expanded transit service, it's going to bring up additional questions for that as well. And I'll show you as right here. So I selected new service route. It gives me a description of your new service route. I'll have to upload a letter for that and provide other information as far as what that option pertains. And you can see here that they're all required. Now, if I hit the expanded transit service, you can see it changed the wording of some of the descriptions and on some of the questions down below. So it all depends on what kind of service that you're trying to complete here. I will satisfy the fields as of again. We'll save the page. And the page has been saved successfully. And we can go down to the bottom of the page and hit the next form in our process. Looks like this is just a couple of brief descriptions on the air quality. Plans to continue after the grant period is ended. So we'll save that information in there. It'll save successfully. And again, you can move on to the next form in the process. Yep, go ahead.
With transit service projects, we've typically done emissions calculations for the applicant. So you don't see a place there to actually upload that information. If you're submitting something as part of general competition, TDM projects or QTDM going through, ITS projects, bike pads, things like that, we would ask you to fill in some information, but we'd also ask that you upload that methodology so we can see how you calculated those emissions benefits. It'll ask you for the actual cost effectiveness numbers. Okay. One question.
Yep.
For some of the questions, I know there's branching logic, but for application planning, is there a way to get sort of a map or a hierarchy of the questions on the application in order to prepare before we submit.
So you're asking if you can get the questions beforehand, kind of thing?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear on what you were asking.
So for those listening in, when the proposal guidance for CNET goes live, those questions will be addressed so that you can have a second to shine to prepare responses, anticipate certain questions. That will come out shortly, probably tomorrow. You guys on the website.
Yes, as far as questions, all that stuff, as far as what's in there and question asking, I won't know any of that information. That'll be Tennessee. But I will get to a feature where you can actually print out this application before you even fill it out. I'll have all the questions and all that stuff. So if you guys needed to take a look at that stuff, you could make a printout, take it to whoever you need to, and have those questions handy, rather than have to jump in the system, answer them right away, or something along those lines. You'll have an idea of what you need. Okay, task and activities section. There's nothing on this page that needs to be saved. There's nothing required. That's all optional. Like I said, I like to save these pages just to let myself know that I've been in them and I've taken a look at the information that's needed. Let's see.
That page, this is a transit project. If you had operating expenses, for instance, you would put that as an activity, a task activity of your budget. It'll show up on the next form, which is the budget for the project. Or if you were, if this was a different type of project, and you were, say, purchasing buses or something, you would list those there as different activities. Then you have a budget for each of those activities. That's kind of the purpose of this form, is to capture those things that are not built into the budget already.
Yep, and it has a link here to your CMAQ website, so you can get more information on those related tasks and activities if you're unclear about that. So like I said, this page has been saved. The non-construction budget has been saved. We'll go ahead and take a look at this. I do believe this brought some information over from the page we just saved. It did not. But anyways, the non-construction projects, it has year 1, year 2, and year 3 in which you can add information on. Obviously, there's all types of information you can add information on, from salaries, benefits, taxes, professional fees, travel, to other. And this page also has calculations that add up by themselves, so you don't really have to do anything as far as those go. Say if I wanted $30,000 for my total cost for the first year of the project, and I could obviously change that to whatever I need for the following year, whether it increases or decreases. I would not know as far as the process goes on this page itself. Let's see. So we'll save the page. And you can see down here that they calculated automatically. Now there are no required fields on this form. However, I'm sure you'd probably have to fill this out if you were doing a non-construction budget.
If you
Question?
On that page, you will see, if you scroll up just a little bit, in red, it does say if you don't fill out this budget, it will not be considered for funding. So it is required.
Right, yep. Always make sure you read the instructions. They'll definitely tell you more about the process and what Tennessee requires than what I'm going to tell you right now. Obviously, my instructional fortitude only goes to as far as how to use the system, not what to enter. So definitely.
Year 1 is required Years 2 and 3, we did not put as a requirement because some people will only be applying for 1 year funding, but that could change based on the project. So just apply according to what you're doing.
I'm not sure if that was a question or not. It's hard to hear. Or was that just more information?
No, that was just I guess, clarification.
Okay.
We need at least 1 year budget.
Okay, that makes sense for sure.
2 or 3 are not necessarily required.
Okay. All right. Yes, and make sure you satisfy all the fields that you feel pertain to your non-construction budget form, if needed. Obviously, like was just pointed out, failure to submit some completed project budgets will result in an application not being considered for funding. So nobody wants that. So once we have that non-construction budget, we can go to the budget summary page. Excuse me. This will take information from the non-construction page, and it'll actually put it into your budget summary. You can see here year 1, year 2 that are filled out correctly. I didn't enter anything for year 3, so obviously it shows zeros. You can enter, choose a file to download, whatever file that may be. That's like I said, I'm not here to say which files you need to upload, but satisfy the system. It's not a required form, but if you have it, obviously upload it. Go ahead and fill out the rest of the form. Again, this is a radio button, so you can only choose one or the other. It's not going to let you choose yes and no. Please explain, and then always make sure you save your form. If you see your click here at the end, always make sure you save your form first. It's pretty crucial as far as saving your information into the system before you move on with your project. Is there any questions as of yet? Anything I just went over there as far as completing some of these forms? Okay. Throughout some of these forms, you'll have the click here to submit. Obviously, within the forms menu, you also have the click here to submit option. If you click here to submit, it's going to take you to a place where you can actually submit your application. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to get to the same portions of the application. Let's go through some of these other subsections we have in our application menu. And like I said, any menu. So change the status. That's just what it means. You can change the status of your application, of your letter of intent, whichever menu you happen to be in at the time. You can change the status of that. You can choose to submit or cancel an application. Obviously, canceling an application will take it off your My Task list. You won't have to worry about it anymore. Submitting the application will take it to Tennessee. They'll be able to review it and move on with the process. Something to add? Question? Okay. So,
Questions?
Yep.
Have you been able to follow this before?
Say that again?
I was just asking if everybody's been able to follow along so far.
It's a lot to follow along with. I understand for sure.
We've gone quick, so if you see something and you're not sure what.
Well, if I go through something too fast, feel free to say something. I'll stop and I'll go back through it again. That's totally fine. And we've got a couple other processes that I'm going to show you, so I'll slow down what I'm saying and I'll try to speak a little clearer for you guys. Okay.
Not nodding, so I think we're okay to move on.
Okay, excellent. Okay, we're going to submit this application. That'll then go to Tennessee for review. They'll do what they need to do. If they approve it, it'll become a project. We'll then start the My Project process. If they deny it, obviously it's denied. I don't think we can come back from that. If it's modifications, they just require additional information on the forms that we just filled out. And I'll go through and I'll let you show you a couple more features of these forms to better communicate between Tennessee and your grantee users. All right, so this has been submitted. Now, like I said, there's a couple subsections in this in these menus that you can access. This is the access management tools portion of any menu. Like I said, letters of intent, applications, they all have the same type of menus. And this is the access management portion of those menus. What's in here? A couple different tabs that you can use. We have a create full print version. This will create a full print version of whatever application you're in. If you're in the application, it'll print all the forms. It'll print all the answers to those forms, and it'll create the whole entire application. So you'll have all the forms with all your answers right there in a paper version for yourself. You can also create a full blank version of the application, which means that it's going to create a full version of the application printed out for you, but it's not going to have any of your answers associated with it. So that's a good one to have to create before you're filling it out. Take a look at the information needed, gather all the information you need, maybe fill it out on paper first, and then come to your application and hop into the site and go ahead and log the information that you found for that. Any questions on either of those? Okay, excellent. The add, edit organizations. This is a link that doesn't get used too much. It's a way for organizations to share application information between one another. So if I have another organization that might be my sister organization, and we share information from one another, I might choose to add them to my application. So I could actually enter a name of an organization here and search for them. Let's see. And this will bring up organizations that match anything that I put in here for geo. So you can find a geo in anything, any of these organizations. If I wanted to add them to this application, I would select their organization name and I would hit save. You can see here that they now are added to this application. They can go in there, they can see this application with any of their users. If they need to, they can update information with any of their users within this organization. So it's a way to share information between organizations. However, it's not used very often in any of the systems that I've came across so far. Is there any questions on any of the adding an organization? Okay, like I said, I haven't ran across any very many situations that I need to use that on. Now, with that being said, this next one will get used quite a bit. So, access management tools and add, edit people. Now, this is a way to add or take away people to this application. Right now, everybody in my application or everybody in my organization is added to this application. If I wanted to take away user access to this application, all I need to do is select their name and hit the save button. This will take away their access to actually view this on their My Task screen. They'll still be able to access the application, but it won't come up as a task for them. So they won't come into their home screen and see, oh, I need a task to view this application. And that won't happen for them. So we took them off of this application themselves. Another situation where this is handy is, say that you have a new employee and you've already started a couple letters of intent. Well, if you have a new employee, they're not going to be added to those old letters of intent automatically. This is a place where you need to add them manually if they need access to those. So to do that, you would you would search for the new employee's name right here, and it would actually bring up their name. Let's see if I got Sean's name in here or not. They should be added, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, so, and you see I've got Sean's names down here, and I could actually add him to this organization if I needed to. So we'll make him an author or an agency administrator. We'll save that in there. And let's see, let's find him. And here he is as an agency administrator I just added. Okay, now he's added to those, maybe the letter of intent that he wasn't added to before, or in this case, it would be an application that he wasn't added to before. And let's say all of a sudden he decides to quit the very next day. Well, we need to take away his access for that. So if he's no longer coming in tomorrow, I can actually select an inactive date. And as soon as this 6/13 date hits, he will no longer be able to access the system. Or in this case, he will no longer be able to access this application. Save that. He's no longer has access to this portion or to this system. If I go into my organizations, I know this is getting a little fast and a little ahead. So let's go and take a look and see if he's in my organization. My organization members. And you can see here, though I added him to the application, he's not added to our organization. So we can add people to the organization or to an application that's not necessarily added to your organization. So be aware of that. Again, this is another thing that won't come up for you guys too often. But once at this, I'm sorry, I'm skipping around a little bit, but since I'm at this organization information members page, active and inactive dates, you can also, this is the same situation I was just talking about. You can take a person away from an application or a letter of intent, anything along those lines. You can also take away their access to the system completely. So this is a way to do that. If you wanted to take away someone's system or system access completely, they left the agency for, forever, you click the My Organizations link. Organization members, once your organization members come up, you give this person an inactive date. Say today, say in the past. It doesn't really matter as if that date has passed or it's in the past. If you save it, they no longer have access to the system. All right. Now I've took us back to the home page. Let's find the application that we were just working on. I can do that by hitting Open My Task.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, we've submitted our application. Tennessee then took it to the point where it did become a project for us to start on. Once it did that, it reached the status of notice to proceed. Let's see here, I did get an email. Let's see. There's a couple of different emails that I've got throughout this process that we did. Let's see. I've got one for the letter of intent for my project title, which was the title that I put in there, and it was successfully submitted to the DOT and by my organization, and it has the date on it as well. Has the names of my organization members and CC'd some of them as well. And I got one of those for the letter of intent submitted. Let's see. I got one for the letter of intent when it was approved. I got one when the application pack was submitted as well. I got one for the congratulations telling me that my application has been awarded for a project. And it tells me how to proceed from there. And then also I got a contract or a notification letting me know that my project was fully executed, and I can proceed with my invoices and or amendments if needed to be. So let's go ahead and access that, and I can show you how to start a invoice and or amendment. So this is the project that we were, or the application that we were working on that just became a project. So we can take a look at the view, edit, and complete forms. None of this should have changed. You can notice here that we did get an award letter. We have modification notes from the state if needed be. They can put some stuff in there as well. Another thing that I did not point out when I was in the application menu or forms themselves, that it does have a add note feature. So I can click the add note. Say you need to ask a question about one of these forms, or you enter information that you're not sure is quite correct. You can add a note to Tennessee Department of Transportation, asking them if this is what they need. So if they happen to send this application, letter of intent, whatever it may be, back to you for updates, you'll know exactly what they're looking for because you can communicate between one another. So all I had to do is add a note. It'll go ahead and show you who is going to be able to see this note. And you can pick and choose on who you want to be able to see it. If you want everyone to see it, that's fine. If, say, you only want a couple of admins to see it, that's fine as well. You can put a subject and a message in. You can save it, cancel it, or once you're done saving it, you can close the note out. And this can be added on either side. Tennessee can add a question, or the grantees can add a question. It doesn't really matter who. So we've got the application. It is now a project. So we can start an invoice and we can start amendment processes, which are pretty much the exact same processes that we just went through for letters of intent and for an application. So to access this stuff and to start a to start an invoice or an amendment, we can go down here to examine related items. Click on view related items button. And you can see here that we have a document type of a CMAQ amendment and invoices. You can also see the letter of intent, which is the parent document of the project that we're currently in. So say we wanted to start an amendment, not a problem. Initiate an amendment right here, and it'll take you to that main menu of that amendment. As you can see, it looks a lot like all the other menus that we've been in. If you wanted to access the forms, we access the forms here. If we wanted to change the status after this, all the forms have been filled out and saved successfully, we can change the status right here. And then we can access our management tools as far as printing an application, printing out any kind of form we have in this amendment process. We can add people to our amendment, those types of features. If we went to examine related items as of in the amendment, it's just going to show you our parent document of this amendment, which will take you to that main menu of that parent. And you see here, we're back to that same spot where we can examine related items. And you can see here, I've already started an amendment, and it's housed right here as well. So it's another fast and easy way to get to anything associated with any of the parent items. So if you access a letter of intent, you can always access the application, the project, the invoice, or the amendment simply by going to examine related items. So let's go back into this amendment. We'll take a look at some of the forms that are in this amendment. And you can see here, there's only a couple of them. We have a link here to submit our application when we're ready. Amendment justification, why are we having this amendment in the first place? It'll give us a couple different options. Say we wanted to change the project budget, scope, or the timeline. Obviously, we check as needed. Do we need all of these? Do we just need 2 of them? We need 1 of them. And then briefly explain why we're doing this. You can save the form. Now, if you guys may have noticed, we have a print version. This will print a single page. So if I hit the print version, it's going to print this amendment justification page with the information that I entered. And you can see here, although it's not very large, you can see here that it has all the information that was selected and entered on this page, including the document information. Okay. Also, it has a check for global errors. That you can hit this button on any form at any time, and it'll actually search for errors within your application that would not allow you to submit. Now, I say application, but I mean letter of intent, application, project, invoice, no matter what we're in, we can hit this check for global errors button, and it'll find any errors that are associated in this document that would stop us from moving on to the next status. So let's test the theory out. If this is required, we'll save this page. And we should get an error. Yep. Now if I hit check global errors, it should bring up this error and a link to this particular form itself. You can see here that we have an error on this form, and this is the form that it's on. We simply click this link, and it'll take us right back to the form that we can then correct the error on. All right, save the page, save it successfully, and we're all set. And so, like I said, this is the amendment process. Very similar to all the other processes we've just been in. You've already seen this task and activities form and been explained to you once. Like I said, nothing's required on this form. Like I said, I like to save it just to make sure that I know that I've been in it. Non-construction budget. Again, we've been in here. If we need to amend this, as far as what we put in there, I think we requested a change in the project budget, which would be no big deal, either adding funds or taking away funds. I'm sure that would be explained on that form as well, but go ahead and do so, save the page, and it just gives you, it allows you to amend what you've already previously putting in and Tennessee reviewed and stated was okay. So we changed our budget, less 25,000, and that was reflected in our totals down at the bottom. So now that that's done, we've reviewed this. We think it's okay to resubmit to Tennessee. We can go ahead and click here to apply the status of amendment requested submitted. This will go back to Tennessee. They'll review what we've just did. They'll either approve, or deny it, or send it back to us for modifications. And pretty much those are the only three process steps that it could actually do. If they send it back for more modifications, you could then, add or take away budget, amend some different answers into your forms. It depends on what Tennessee is requesting of you. You can then submit it again. Say they don't like what you submitted. It could go through that process a couple different times until they decide that you've entered what they needed. Other than that, that's the end of the process. As soon as you get done, you can see here that Tennessee, they have approved this amendment, and that pretty much ends the amendment process. So I've amended my project. It seems to be okay. I can then go back to that parent document, which is my project. You can see here it's a notice to proceed still. So yes, our project is in notice to proceed still. Say we've done an amendment, and we don't need an amendment obviously to move forward, but we've had an amendment done to this. We're still in notice to proceed, so we can start an invoice now. So we go back to our examine related items subsection, and we can start or initiate a long-range planning invoice. Once we do that, it takes you to the invoices main menu, and again, you have the same subsections: view, edit, complete forms, change the status, access management tools, and examine related items. So we can view the forms in which we need to complete to submit this invoice. and it's only 2 of them, so it's really not a whole lot to fill out to get this invoice in. And the invoice process will be a lot like the amendments. After you fill out your invoice, you'll then submit it to Tennessee. They'll either send it back for more modifications and more information needed. They'll approve it or they'll deny it. So let's go into the long-range planning invoice and see what kind of information they need. And here it is. You can see here they need information like the percentage of the work completed, your invoice date. That should be completed on the save. That's when that date will show up. Your dates the services are rendered, the address, pretty much current expenditures of this project, those sort of things. These radio buttons here will actually set off dependencies on the forms, which will give you more questions to fill out. So if you choose yes here, you're going to get a couple more. Yes here, you're going to get a couple more as well. So just be prepared for that. You've got to click here so you can actually view and complete the required vendor invoice summary or the scheduled direct costs forms. So there's a couple other things that you might have to submit with this invoice. Be prepared for that as well. So we'll go ahead and fill out the information needed, service dates. And be sure too, some of these forms and some of these fields have what we call regular expression, which means you don't format the answers in a specific way, it might give you an error, something like maybe this. You can see here the field does not must be a valid date, so you need to go in month, day, year format. So you can see here that doesn't do it. That's pretty much why we give the schedule pop-up. It's not only just for easy navigation, it's also to make sure we get the correct format in there. So we'll delete the information out of there, select us a correct date, and we can move on. And enter information, salaries and benefits. And you can see here that our automatic calculations are happening as soon as we enter information, subtotaling and totaling down the lines. And we already answered the radio buttons, which gave us the other forms. We can go ahead and we can see here that we have 3 field uploads that we'll have to do. And then we have a certification checkbox. That should be done by the agency official, it looks like. Once we've completed all the required fields, you can see here the forms down here. It's been grayed out. We cannot enter any information in here. This is for the Tennessee to fill out on your behalf. So it looks like we're got the information entered. We'll save the form. And we saved successfully. So we have one more form to fill out for the vendor invoice summary. And you can see here that this is a form. Right now it currently has 10 different rows that you can fill out. When you do fill out these 10 different rows and save the page, it will give you 10 blank rows to fill out additionally. They're not going to limit you to these 10 invoice numbers and description of expense, though you can enter as many as needed, and it will subtotal down the bottom. Any additional notes that you need to say about anything that you enter here. As soon as you do that, you can save the page. As of right now, there's nothing in this form that says it needs to be filled out or required. Obviously, more than likely, you'll have to fill it out to get some sort of data in there if you wanted to get reimbursed or that kind of thing. But that would pretty much end the invoice process. You would then submit it for review, which is the only possible option. They're not going to allow you, I guess, to cancel the invoices. If you need an invoice, you need an invoice. So go ahead and submit that. It is now submitted and in review, and it's in Tennessee's hands. Other than that, it kind of ends the process as far as going through all these different processes as far as letter of intent, application, project, invoices, and amendments.